Hi there, thank you for joining me. So today I'm going to clean my PlayStation 4. As I have since discovered, the PlayStation 4 is in fact 8 years old as of the filming of this video, approximately. And you can see here it's dusty. This is some fresh dust. I do actually dust this pretty regularly at this point, but I have this duster, which I find is very good at picking up the dust and not distributing it around too badly. So we're just going to lightly dust the surface. It's going to need a little, extra care here. But what we're doing is cleaning the inside of this, because when I play a game, this runs like a jet engine. It's really loud, and clearly it is either just the thermal paste in it is possibly getting old, it is clogged with dust, or both things are affecting it. So I have this video over here. I'll have it linked in the description. I'm going to be following this just, if I need some help in guiding me along with disassembling this properly. And, I would encourage people, don't do things outside, too far outside of your comfort zone, certainly. But, at first, the thought of this, intimidated me slightly. But then I remembered, I build computers all the time. And I actually am much more comfortable, taking apart pretty much any of my things, right? And just touching the components, just getting to know the thing. If I've taken it apart and I've put it back together, I almost feel more confident about it rather than less, because I've seen everything. There are no surprises. I know what's going on inside of it, and if I screwed something up, it's my fault. I mean, what's the worst thing that happens? This stops working, and I go and buy a PS4 Pro or something like that, which are relatively affordable now. Certainly it running hot is not good for it either, right? So this is going to void the warranty. There are little warranty stickers on the back of here. So, if you want to have this serviced professionally by Sony, don't do this. But I just wanted to record this so you guys can watch along with me. I figure this is just going to be something relaxing for me. I'm going to just enjoy just taking this apart, cleaning it up, putting it back together. And I think that we will enjoy that together. You can see here I have a driver, some security bits, tray. I have this air duster that I just bought, some rubbing alcohol, paper towels, that thermal paste, some tweezers, X-Acto knife, some cotton swabs, and I feel like those are probably going to be the main things that I'm using for this. This does use security screws on the system. So the first thing is you'll want to remove these stickers. Very nice. Alright, so we've exposed 4 screws here. They use almost the same kind of screws actually that were in my PCFX. If you watched my video where I did a fix on the PCFX, fix, so to speak, temporary fix on the PCFX. Anyway, it uses a smaller bit, but it's the same thing. It's a Torx. I'm using a what do we have here? A T8, so an 8 size Torx. I think it uses a 9, but the 8 it's going to be a little small, so it'll be a little loose, but it actually works just fine. So in a pinch, go ahead and use an 8. My set does not have a 9, it has an 8 and a 10, so this is my only option here. Okay, so I'm going to lift on the corners here, and hopefully this is just going to come right off. Like that. Alright. So you can see here it is quite dusty, and I'm realizing another thing that I could use is a mask, so why don't I go get that? I happen to have a respirator nearby for painting, which wouldn't be inappropriate for this kind of an application, but I don't really need it just for the dust. So I'm using a regular mask. So I'm going to use this duster here and just start getting into here. Okay. That's a good start. Now let's go ahead and try this out. Okay, as you can see, dust is definitely flying out of there. Now I think for the corners of this here, I'm going to use some isopropyl alcohol and cotton swabs and just do some of this detail work here. Look at this. There we go. Some nice fluffy clouds. That's the kind of energy that I want here. Just reminding myself here, I'm on no one's schedule. If you guys want this to be faster, you can fast forward. If I want it to be faster, I can speed it up. Just giving this some attention. You know, that's the real thing. It's like there are things in the house too, you know, they get dirty, they get neglected. Alright, that's what it is, neglect. And all you need to counter neglect is attention. Just give something a little attention. Right. This will probably work for years and decades with a little attention. Alright, now it's very interesting where the isopropyl alcohol was nice and wet. It actually did a better job of cleaning that dust out of there. So we're going to give it another go with that. We'll probably just reapply as we go. Okay, look at that. I don't know how it looks on camera, but it's quite a bit cleaner than it was. It's looking pretty nice. There might be a couple of spots I can polish a little bit, but it's not bad. Let's get the bottom here, these feet. There's just a little bit of stuff stuck to the rubber. Now, if you like, something that does recondition plastic a bit, which is nice, especially like if it has some dust caked in it, is a little oil. You don't need to go heavy on it, but a little WD-40 you can spray on a piece of towel like this, and just rub the plastic. It'll really do a good job with old dust, but this is fine. And that's the bottom of the unit. We're never going to see it, and it's a lot cleaner than it was. So, let's see what we can do here. Here are these little bits of metal, and we're going to take those off. We're going to take these screws out. We're going to put these little bits of metal aside. We're going to take the drive out. I've of course taken the game disc that was in there out. There's these little connectors, wires. We're going to be careful with those cables. Here's the fan. I'm just going to get the surface of this. We'll clean this fan very thoroughly. It seems like it is rather dusty. Alright, that is something. Let's go ahead and we'll do another. Spray there. There's a lot of dust in there. But let's keep disassembling a little bit so we can really get at some of these components more closely. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We have a few Torx screws here, and apparently the power supply unit is under here. And so we're just going to try to keep these separated as I take them out on the tray here. These are the 3 Torx screws for the power supply. I will mix it with the regular Phillips screws for the power supply, but they're all the power supply screws. Now, I don't know, do we have some regular, there actually aren't any regular bits in here. I certainly have plenty. This ought to do it. If this is not sufficient, I will find another bit. Oh, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. Okay, good. My stepdad got me this set of tweezers, and I have loved them. There's multiple sizes, a whole range of tweezers. I'd really recommend, if you do any kind of work like this, get a set of tweezers, that's multiple sizes. It's just, these are super helpful. Okay. So we are going to have to unplug the power supply down here. So this should not be too hard. Just going to tug gently on this. Something that I do sometimes is make use of very carefully and gently a pair of needle nose pliers to just, there we go. Okay, so that popped right off, and we want to lift this out. Okay, and I'm using my thumb here to just wedge under there a little bit, because I can feel the tension on that. It's this unit is heavy, but it just comes right out like that. So the hair out of it. Look at that. It is. I don't know if there's. It's focusing well, but yeah, it's filthy in there. All right. So we're gonna do more wiping. So I'm just wiping some of the major, surfaces. So, we can let that alcohol just kind of collect some of that dust. And then I'm going to blow it out. This part was mostly done. Alright, so here we go. So there's going to be a lot of probably, hefty capacitors and things like that in here. I guess all I'm saying is don't poke your finger in there, right? They can be holding power. so that is a lot better. It's still a little dusty on the outside. Some of the stuff off, you can see just how dirty that is. Okay, and the surface of this maybe could use another scrub, but I'll readdress some of these before I put it back together. That's much better than it was. Okay, so I guess the next thing we're going to do is take out this Blu-ray drive. So let's go ahead and we're going to unplug these cables here. So we're going to pull this back. And then actually there's a nice... There we go. There's a nice little tab on here that you can use to pull that out. The guide I'm following says to go ahead and actually take this out from here, which so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll put that aside. We also want to remove this here, which I'm going to use my pliers for again. Oops. Again, just kind of gently. You gotta pinch it, but just kind of. Yep. So I've wiggled that up a little bit, and now I'm just going to use my fingernails. There we go. That came right up. It is wound around these things here. Those are out. There's also, I guess, some very small coax cable here. And I wouldn't recommend using this as a guide, right? I would use the other video as a guide. But there's this little small coax cable here. And that needs to come out. It's also threaded along here. So I guess we want to be really gentle with this. I think I'm going to use the tweezers. That's going to help me get that out of the guides, and it might even help me to pull it up from here. Although I think my fingernails are really what's going to do that. Okay, that's a very small cable, but I was able to take that off. And I think that's it for cable stuff. We've gotten this one, we've gotten this one, we've gotten this one. We're going to unscrew some screws. There's some Phillips screws. Oh yeah, let's take this shield off. That's what we're doing first. So, and those I'm going to put in that big tray. And like that. And that. We can lift this off. There we go. It's also very dusty, so I'll wipe that off. And then I think it's just these Torx screws there. And I think that there's one underneath here, is that right? There's a screw holding that on, but I don't think we need to take it off. We can access that screw, it's just right, it's right there. So we will change bits and take this off. Okay. There was another Phillips screw at the front. that seemed to need to come off. So I'm going to put that in there as well. I'm looking at it, I believe it's the same size as the other Phillips, so I don't think there's going to be any trouble with mixing those up. Alright, so here is the Blu-ray Drive. I think that's very cool. Look at that. Okay. Apparently this coax cable is just, he called it a coax cable. It really looks like it just goes to this, probably for like maybe one of the static switches, something like that. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'm going to dust this off. Yeah, that is something to see dust come off of that. I'm going to use a dry Q-tip and get the front of this here because it does have kind of a soft patterning. This is where the disc actually inserts. So I want to be kind of gentle with it. But you can see actually it's very dirty. We're getting a lot of dust on this Q-tip. I'm going to give this another blow like that. Okay, that seems pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to flip this over, and we are getting the other side here. Okay, so what we're interested in is the screws holding this on, I believe. So we're just going to use our Torx bit and take these off. Put those over here. Okay, that was a bit of a trick, kind of getting that corner started, but yeah, that came off. I didn't break anything. Okay, so you can see this is really very, very dusty. Let's go ahead and hit this. Is a start. Okay, so there are a few Torx screws and a few Phillips screws. We're going to change bits. I don't know if this one is great for this. Let's see. Oh yeah, it is quite good. Okay, I believe I need to take this out as well. And then apparently these are for the heatsink on the processor. So these have some pressure on them. So we're just going to kind of alternate back and forth. Okay. Well, so I can see that some of these, I think these are like thermal pads, have actually come off, broken a little bit and stuck to some of these chips. I don't know that that's a problem. We're going to put them back in the same place, and they will you know, adhere to the chips and the shielding here. So I thought about these a little more, and I realized you really wouldn't want to create a gap or overlap in these, so I think it's going to be good to peel these up and place them where they would have gone here had they stayed attached to this shielding or whatever this is. So we can see that. Apply a little pressure. Alright, so let's go ahead and try taking this motherboard off. What we're going to do is apparently just lift up a bit on this, and it should come out. I have to be very careful with it. There we go. Yep, you do just lift up. So there's that. Put this around here, and we're just gonna kind of try to carefully lift this up. Okay, yep, there's that. Now, I don't know exactly how this attaches. Okay, it comes right off. It's like a little, like, SATA, I don't know if it's a SATA drive, but there we go. I could look at replacing the drive in my PlayStation 4 also, I suppose, if I wanted. But anywho, we can lift this right out. There we go. Now I do feel like, oh, it's the one of the cables that went through the bottom there. There we are. So there is our chip with its thermal paste there. So we'll be replacing that. A lot of really dusty components here. Hopefully everything, should be good. I don't think we're going to have any leaking capacitors or anything like that. We have some very dusty looking capacitors, as those look like. But there is a battery here. That could be something that might want to be replaced. It is a CR2032. That's something to think about. I don't know if I'll replace that right now. But I assume that I'll do this again, in whatever, 4 or 5 years or something. Okay, and once again we have some of these, we have some pads on the opposite side of these chips as well. So 4 of them have remained stuck to here, and the other ones have remained stuck to here. Now, it doesn't look like these have broken apart as much as some of the other ones did, so I don't think there are pieces that I need to pull off and stick back on. I think I'll just put this back on the way it is. But let's set this aside for now. Alright, so behold the dust. This is extremely dusty. Let's go ahead. I'm actually going to blow this out, I think. Then there's a couple screws I'm going to take off, and I'm going to take this right out, and that way we can get directly at the fan and its corresponding heat sink, which will be full of dust. Alright, so for now, let's just take this off. There we go. And here, folks, is the prize. And I think perhaps we will see why my PlayStation was running like a jet engine. That is caked, absolutely caked with dust. It's like a full, half of it is just plugged in those fins there. There's dust poking out here. Watch where I'm placing my hands there, but we can see there just dust bunny. Wow, yeah, this is coming off in like a piece. Okay, there's a nice big chunk, and there's still just some gunk right up in there. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this with some air, and I think this is gonna really make a big difference here. Okay, that is like clean in comparison. It's very good. There's just a little. Looks like one of those fins has just like a little dent in it, quite possibly. Is that something I did, or just something that happened? At some point in manufacturing, but I can see directly through that now, so that is much, much better. Okay, and now we're going to address the fan itself. So let's go ahead and take off these couple of Phillips screws here. And I guess there's this little plate here that has a like a sticky pad that's sort of over it a little bit. So I think I'm going to use my tweezers here and just slightly lift it. Alright, so we've basically gotten it so it's not adhering to this little clip there. The guy that I was watching said it's probably just a grounding plate, which does not mean it is unimportant. It's going to keep the fan from, as it's generating static electricity, as it spins, from, building that charge up. Instead, it's going to be dissipating it to ground. So here's the fan. It is quite dusty, but I think the real issue is probably that heatsink, where those fins were really clogged up with dust. But let's go ahead and get this cleaned up as well. Now this is definitely something I want to hit with the cotton swab. I don't want to be getting into these fins gently, you know, and it's just possible just getting some of this caked on dust out of there. Now one thing I will certainly do is, you know, in order to maintain this, so, you know, hopefully I'm not having to do this on a regular basis, you know, it's just maybe every month or so, just unplug my PlayStation 4 and, you know, bring it over here and just blow it out with this air blower. Hopefully that will keep this from getting as bad as it has. This is certainly nothing that I was really all that concerned about. I mean, I guess honestly I was sort of hoping that they'd engineered this to so that dust wasn't too much of an issue, and you know, I just kind of went along doing my thing here, and then come to find out after 8 years it's pretty dusty, and it's affecting the performance, you know. And then, yeah, as I'm doing this, I'm wondering, you know, if it's possible to get a you know, a one-to-one replacement, you know, for this fan too. That's a possibility. But it seems to be, you know, functioning fine. It's just dusty. I've mentioned several times on my other videos, and I've ended up cutting it out. But you know, I've been down for a couple of years here. Yeah, I've been mourning. I've been depressed, and I've been scared, and, you know, a lot of other things. I think everyone has been having a real hard couple years here in particular, especially just last year with this pandemic and everything. But I'm starting to feel like I can focus on like things that I enjoy, right? What do they say? It's one of those signs of depression when it's like you don't enjoy things that you used to enjoy, right? And that's what I was feeling, and I'm sure I, you know, may still feel that going forward. But I feel like that has lifted a bit. Spring is here. I'm almost fully vaccinated. You know, things are a little stable for me. And I can just focus on silly, you know, play some video games and stuff. So that certainly feels good. Something I enjoy. And this is nice to be able to take some time to do, you know, right? Like this is a luxury here, being able to just, you know, sit down for whatever, an hour or two, take this all apart, get it all cleaned up. Yeah, probably what I ought to do first is this. I gotta say, it's a lot cleaner than it was. Okay, so I still have some more dusting to do on the motherboard and whatnot, but let's go ahead and get started on putting this back together. We're just going to do the reverse of what we did. Okay, so I've just consulted that video some more, and it looks like he did use a little bit of alcohol in removing the old thermal paste. So I have a little bit on some paper towel here, and I think I'm just going to use that to kind of make sure that we're getting as much of the old paste off there as we can. It looks, good, but just in case. Oh, you know what? I mean, some of that might have just been chemical reaction with, I assume this might be aluminum, but some of that might be some little extra thermal paste coming up there, just the last bits of it. Okay, so with the motherboard here, I have a piece of foam. I don't know that it's anti-static foam, so maybe it's not really good to use, but I just like to cushion that somewhat. So yeah, let's go ahead and do the same thing here. We're going to get this this old thermal paste off to the best of our ability. Alright, things look relatively clean. It was very dusty right around these little two capacitors and whatever that is. So, and the battery, this doesn't appear to be leaking, certainly. I could probably check that and see how fresh it seems, but we'll do this again if I need to get that battery. Let's go ahead and put this thermal paste on. Well, we're going to open the thermal paste. put some thermal paste. Right on there. Okay. There we go. You don't need a ton, it spreads out. That should be good. And now we want to fit this back on. We can see that this basically goes like this. And I'm just going to kind of fit this on. There we go. That seems pretty much exactly how we want this. We do want to make sure that these, there we go, that these ports all fit in the back there. This actually goes down through. Okay, so I'm just making sure. I believe that this cable goes through the same hole as these little, I don't know if you can see them, but there's these little tines there. So we're just going to lay this down. That seems to be what we're looking for. There we go. And we want that thermal paste to spread out there. So that should be good. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up a little better here. Okay, so we're going to plug the fan back in. Just really gently. There we go. Kind of pops back on there. Okay, so let's put this back. This is going to go just like this. Okay, try to make sure everything is lined up. Okay, so we're going to put this plate back on here, and this is just going to apply some pressure. It's going to help like keep those those pads pressed on there. Okay, and this had a whole bunch of, I guess, torque screws. So let's swap our bit here. We put those on. Again, you can look for the arrows. I'm finding those very useful. So everything with an arrow gets a screw. Okay, so now we're putting this drive back on. Let's find our screws here. We have this here, and I actually had to take this screw out because I also kind of forgot about this. It goes over here and is secured there. You can kind of see where this came along, and it clips into a little holder there. It also comes down here and goes through a couple of guides, and then it plugs in onto this board right here. It is quite small, but it's not too hard to plug in. Alright. Next up we have this shielding. Actually, maybe we should put the ribbon cable on first. That went like this. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so just an FYI, I realized that this cable had actually gotten trapped under this whatever plate shielding, and it was coming up through the wrong, my hand's in the way, but it was coming up through the wrong hole here. So I actually had to disassemble this back and then make sure this was free and then reassemble it. So we are making good progress. And the power supply had these long screws with these bits of metal on them. Alright, and I think we are at the last part, which is to put this back on. Okay, so here is one significantly cleaner PlayStation 4. Let's go ahead and plug it in and see how it does. Okay, so here's the moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and turn the TV on. We'll go ahead and fire this up. I hear good noises. Excellent. So we appear to have a working PlayStation 4. I assumed that we would, but it's always nice to confirm. It is very quiet right now. Let's go ahead and put in a game. Really putting in any game would make this thing sound like it was going to blast off to Mars. So, let's see what we get. So I've muted the TV. This is excellent. I hear no fan noise whatsoever. My computer is louder than my PlayStation 4 right now. That's all that I can hear is the fan on that. So, you know, this seems to have been highly successful. Again, if you guys want to do this yourselves, I'd recommend using the video that I used as opposed to my video, but I did want to share the process with you guys so you could see what, you know, how it was for me. I think, you know, the hardest part of this, it did take a while. Some of that was probably because I was recording and things like that, but, you know, I took my time, and by the end I kind of wanted it to be over. I was a little disappointed when I had to, like, retake apart and then re-put together the PlayStation 4. That really wasn't that bad. It only took me an extra, whatever, you know, few minutes. And, yeah, so, you know, I took my time with it. It was probably, whatever, 2.5 hours, maybe something like that, all in all. If you guys just breeze through it, you're probably not going to take nearly as much time as I did. And, you know, if you're willing to void your warranty on your PlayStation 4 in order to keep it well maintained, you know, I would recommend going through this process. I think that it's, you know, at least so far has been very successful for me. I will keep you guys posted if, you know, anything happens to my PS4, certainly, but I expect it to run well for years, you know, years to come. So anyway, I hope this was fun, and thanks for joining me. Take care, guys.